What's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a fantastic day. And today's will be a little bit of a discussion style video where I wanted to kind of go over like a wish list of characters I would like to see in Sparking Zero, playable characters, of course. Uh, Now, I'm going to try and keep this list. The reason I keep looking over here is because I actually wrote a list down, like a top 10 sort of thing, because it's just easier when you put things pen to paper. So anyway, I'm going to try and keep this list pertaining to characters that are kind of unlikely to be in the game, but like kind of are, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not going to go over characters like, oh, I want to see, Super Saiyan Blue Goku or something like that. Like, we know most of that stuff is going to be in the game, and it's like, these are characters I'm trying to keep to, they might not. So I'm gonna shut up. I'm actually gonna be throwing pictures up on screen of the characters as well, in case you don't know who they are. But make it a little bit of fun. Let me know down below who you would like to see playable in the game, and let's get right into this. So at number 10, I have Whis, I have Vados, and then I just put like the angels, so basically just the angels in general, but mainly Whis and Vados. We've seen a lot of different attacks from Whis throughout the series since he's been introduced. And the reason I say Vados is because, look at him. I mean, they could palette swap some of the attacks, you don't know. But I put Whis first because he does have, more attacks. So that's number 10. And this, I try to keep it, number 10 are characters that, like, if they don't make it in, I won't be as upset if they don't. But as we get further down the list, I really want to see these characters in there. So, number 9, I put Beerus, also the Gods of Destruction. Like, just seeing the different Gods of Destruction be playable would be dope. But Beerus is likely to be in there, but that's why I added the other Gods of Destruction as well. Because, I mean, if I remember correctly, didn't a couple panels of the manga, didn't the Gods of Destruction actually fight each other? I'm not sure if that was real or not, but for some reason I want to say that did happen. So that's number 9. Number 8, I got Merged Zamasu. Now, the reason why I put him in there is because he's probably one of my favorite villains out of the what Super introduced to the series. Merged Zamasu was my favorite villain. I wasn't really that big of a fan of Jiren or like the Pride Trooper Squad or basically any of the other ones. And you'll see there's another entry of villain later on that piqued my interest in terms of like the manga, but we haven't seen it animated yet, and that could, maybe make me not like that person. So that being said, Merge Zamasu was lit. I like the whole like deity thing, him being like corrupted, and because he basically fused with somebody that wasn't perfect. So I like that. Number 7, I got Granola. Now this is another. There's a lot of manga entries here because, to be fair, the manga is highly likely to not be like in the base roster if I had to assume, because it hasn't been animated yet. Nothing's been animated. So, I mean, that's why they're there. So, number 7, I got Granola. Granola, his story, I believe, was like his race or something got killed by the Saiyans, and then he wished to become like the strongest in the universe. And then his lifelong enemy wished to also be the strongest in the universe after he did, so then he was no longer the strongest, it was his enemy. But it's been a while since I read it, so I might have gotten some stuff misconstrued. But that leads me into number 6. Number 6, I have Gas. Gas and his crew, but mainly Gas, because Granola and Gas fought, and then I believe Goku and Vegeta fought Gas. Like I said, it's been a while since I read it, but Gas is a pretty cool villain. I like his transformation. His story is kind of but anyway, more manga entries at number 5, and that is Moro. Now, Moro is the other villain that, in my opinion, he's pretty cool. I like his story, like how he's like from a planet that's basically a prison. Like, I think it's called like Planet Prison or something like that. It's been a while, but Moro would be cool. I don't know how his stuff was like going to be animated or anything, so if he is in the game, probably DLC. Now, straying away from the manga stuff strictly, Number 4, I put the Gammas. Now, in my opinion, the Gammas are like, I'm not really that big of a fan of the androids to begin with. However, the Gammas were very cool, especially Gamma 2 when he did like the Planet Buster when he went into outer space and like just basically self-destructed himself into Cell Max. Like that was insane. Like that move was really cool. I'm a big sucker for like brutal stuff like that. So Gammas would be very dope to see. I highly believe they are going to be playable. I feel like it would be a crime not to. So number 3, I put Orange Piccolo because I mean, dude, Orange Piccolo is a beast. A lot of people, for some reason, like they're on the like the MUI and the Ultra Ego train and stuff like that. And while Ultra Ego would be cool to see, I just think that's like, I don't know. That's another topic. I mean, we haven't seen much of it out, like much specific things out of Ultra Ego. What I mean by that is like things that are like new. It's just Vegeta, but he's purple now. Like his hair is purple and all that stuff, and he's like more brutal and stuff, which is cool. But it's like, what new does he have? I mean, MUI, he had the Susanoo, he had all this stuff. So it's like, what is Ultra Ego? Now I could be misremembering, but anyway, that number 3 is Orange Piccolo. Orange Piccolo obviously he's a character that you can play as in Xenoverse. He's got a unit, 2 units actually in Dokkan. I think he's a playable character in Dragon Ball Legends, and like I said, he's got plenty of stuff that they could go off of. Now number 2, my number 2 entry is a little bit weird because a lot of people have been speculating on whether or not GT characters are even going to be in this game, and it's like, they gotta be, you know? Like, I know it's kind of like a new age of gaming where like it's like back then they just threw everything in. They were like, fuck it, we'll just throw everything in because there was no DLC. They just threw everything in, and what you got is what you got. So this being like a new age, like I think the GT characters, I think some of them will be base roster, and then some other ones will be like DLC. Just because y'all have to think about it like this. This is like a new age where they got to make money outside of like initial game sales, and putting certain characters behind DLC is just a smart business move. As much as it is like as much as you may not like it, that's just how gaming is nowadays. And I think to try and like to alleviate some disappointment or getting your hopes up, kind of assume that some of your characters that you may want to be playable are going to be DLC. And I'm like a huge GT stan, okay? GT was my favorite. It's got my favorite form with Super Saiyan 4. I think the form just makes sense lore-wise, thematically. You know, it's like the culmination of the Saiyans and their power and their heritage in a form. I love Super Saiyan 4. That being said, I don't see why they wouldn't be base roster, but they're still a wishlist character of mine just because they're my favorite, and we haven't seen anything GT related be shown yet. So that being said, I kind of have to put them up there at number 2, and the reason I put them at number 2 is because number 1 is Beast Gohan. Okay, so I know I just went on like a huge tangent about how Super Saiyan 4 is my favorite form and all this and that. The same things can be said about Beast, okay? I love the form even outside of like aesthetics. The form makes sense. If you haven't read the final chapter of the manga, so like that was released, the form is basically a form of Super Saiyan for Gohan. Like it's like they took Gohan's characteristics, they took the Super Saiyan like form, the Saiyan heritage, and they just put it into a form, because Beast isn't it doesn't have like deity energy, okay? It's not like MUI, it's not like Ultra Ego, or actually it's not even like Orange Piccolo either. All of those forms have some form of like deity influence, and Beast isn't that. It was confirmed Whis can detect that kind of stuff, and he basically said, no, this is just a form of Super Saiyan that's unique to Gohan. And the fact that the form makes sense lore-wise, it makes sense for his character, it's something that I really would like to see. You know, there's plenty of stuff that they could actually use to fill in his like super attack slots. And like what's crazy is like this game looks so good, and we're only looking at Goku and Vegeta. We haven't seen any of these other characters, like their auras, their attack. Like, bro, this game is going to slap. Okay, and Beast Gohan is my number one thing that I want to see. Now he's probably going to be in the game. I don't doubt that in my mind one bit. But I still, this is my wish list, and I would like to see him in there. It's kind of hard to put him above GT. They're kind of like both neck and neck for 1 and 2 for the same reasons. GT has my favorite form. Beast is like the continuation of that form, but in the new age. So that being said, that's my top 10. I do have 2 honorable mentions. Number 1 is Android 21. Yes, she's in Fighters. Whether you do the lab coat or the non-lab coat version, it doesn't really matter to me. They're both the same character. But it would be dope to see the Majin version more, in my opinion, than the lab coat. Just because, I mean, it's another Majin, and she's an android. She was very cool in Fighters. I've always really liked the Majin design anyway, because of like the super baggy white pants and stuff. Like that was what made me like Boo, like Super Boo, years and years ago when he first came out. Was like the huge baggy pants that he has, and then Android 21 has it. So that's honorable mention number 1. Now here's one that's like very like off the wall. I highly doubt these characters are going to be in there, but it's like in previous entries of these Tenkaichi games, even the Budokai games, not even like Budokai Tenkaichi, just the regular Budokai, like PS2 Budokai games, they had these what if scenarios. And like, for example, like Budokai 1 had the what if Cell absorbed Krillin, or what if Vegeta was the first one to go Super Saiyan, like small stuff like that. There were never any playable characters. It was just story driven stuff. Budokai 2 had what if Boo absorbed Frieza or Cell or Vegeta, or what if Tien and Yamcha fused, stuff like that. And as we got into like the Tenkaichi, they actually implemented a series of missions for you to complete called the what if scenarios, where, like I said before, it was a bunch of like stuff that never happened, but like what if, And I would really like to see some what if characters be playable in this one. Now, because this is like a newer age style of game where they're not really going to like risk doing anything, stuff like that, I don't see this actually happening. However, it would be cool, and I put in parentheses like the Dragon Ball AF, because that's kind of like the route that I would like to see them go down. Like, do some of these like crazy characters, like Super Saiyan 5, for example. Just seeing some what if characters would be cool, if not just the what if scenarios. Because if they do the what if scenarios, they got to create like, randomized characters that are like Mosh Posh and stuff like that. So anyway, that's my honorable mentions. Like I said at the beginning of the video, let me know down below who you would like to see playable. Maybe if you agree with this list, say that too. If there's anybody you would switch around or wouldn't like to see, let me know. And yeah, I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.